Moving on. Those Philadelphia Eagles. This is a team.
That's a team. So
What a dogs.
we are talking about their offseason overview and stuff to remember from last year. I think we got to remember this team fell off at the end of last year.
Hard.
They
Very
started hot, they ended weakly, and then were an early exit from the playoffs. A disappointing, this is the team that, you win 11 games and your season is a massive disappointment.
Yeah.
So we mentioned their record, 11 wins, 6 losses. Let's look at some of their stats last year. They were 8th in rushing. That'll happen when you have a running quarterback. They were 16th in passing yards. Both of those were yards. And 7th in overall points scored.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive stuff.
Impressive.
As far as coaching, still the same head coach, Nick Sirianni. New offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore.
Yes, Kellen Moore comes over from the Chargers. Before that, he was with Dallas as offensive coordinator on both of those teams. I call that out. I think it's a good sign when a coach is hired into the same level position that they were before. We've seen a lot of success from Kellen Moore offenses, especially relating to fantasy. I do want to call out, this is the second year in a row that the Eagles are replacing both coordinators, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. I think that's odd. You don't see a team make a switch 2 straight years in a row unless they were a very, very good team, which is why they moved on from their coordinators after 2022. After that Super Bowl run, that would be Gannon going to Arizona, Shane Steichen going to the Colts. This past year, though, it's the opposite story. They had Sean Desai and Matt Patricia as defensive coordinators throughout the year. Desai sort of fired as the play caller mid-year, with Patricia taking over and then both being shown the door at the end of the season. And then Brian Johnson had gotten promoted to offensive coordinator and was only kept on for 1 year. He is gone with Kellen Moore taking over. It's just kind of interesting for the coaching staff to change that much so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to our trenches here in the O-line, obviously Jason Kelsey retired. They were very good in 2023. What's the outlook for the upcoming year?
I think Kelsey's part of the engine that makes the tushy-pushy go, and so we could see that change. We're just looking for signs of potential change. I mean, they were one of the best lines last year. Losing a Hall of Fame player, they have a little bit of depth to come in and fill that and go from amazing to great. So I don't see them taking a huge step back because of this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So jumping into that QB position, obviously Jalen Hurts, he is currently ranked ECR number 2. I think what's interesting about you bringing up the tush push and losing Jason Kelsey was, I believe last season he was 13 out of 15 touchdowns when they attempted that. I think it was 15 attempts. It succeeded 13 times, if I remember correctly, which is going to give you a ton of fantasy points.
Yes.
Obviously.
So there's an interesting analysis thing to call out among casual fantasy players here is we don't expect him to score as many rushing touchdowns. Even with that said, he's consensus ranked 2. The experts have already redone projections and said, the rushing touchdowns was an outlier last year, but he's a very good quarterback. He'll still run and still get a lot of points, enough so that he's ranked at number 2. You could take him at number 1 if you want. You could take him top 3, top 4. Don't re-ding him. The slight downturn from last year's already built in. That's really all there is to say here. He's great. Draft him. Just don't make him number 5 because you're scared that he won't score as many rushing touchdowns. It's already figured in.
Yeah. Moving on, running back. Big move this offseason. Saquon Barkley, currently ranked at 6th. Thank you, Darby.
I think we're going to find a common theme with all of the position groups here. There's not a ton to say. That's a cat's
This
butthole.
this episode brought to you by Darby's
That is
asshole.
that is a cat's butthole.
These are some new techniques going on up here.
The Eagles are going to be a very good team, but there is not a ton of analysis or change to really talk about here. Saquon comes in. He's great. He may take some of those rushing touchdowns away from Jalen Hurts. That's already kind of built into both of their values. Jalen Hurts will eat some touchdowns from Saquon. Saquon will eat some from him. This is the best offensive line Saquon's played with. This is the best team Saquon's played on. He's a great player. I could take him as high as running back 2. He's ranked at 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's going to do really well this season. I think what might scare people a little bit was the fact that they were basically running 3 running backs last year, right? Until everybody got hurt and it was DeAndre Swift, which we talked a little bit about last week. But it's Saquon Barkley. He's going to
Can you name the other 2?
Not off the top, absolutely not.
There you go.
Exactly.
You can name Saquon Barkley. Yeah, I don't that just because there's so little to say about the actual Eagles, I'll just throw in this other tidbit of sometimes you'll hear people say like, "Oh, this head coach loves a committee." They love a committee because the guys they have kind of suck.
Exactly.
Or aren't
that was
good
kind
enough.
of the point that, yeah.
Yeah. They love a committee because they don't have Saquon.
Yeah, if you have Saquon Barkley, he is the committee.
Yeah, and he
Moving
makes
on.
more than every running back that was on this team before combined.
And rightfully
Yeah.
so. Here we go. Wide receiver position. Obviously, A.J. Brown is your top dog in this group. However, Devontae Smith. A.J. was ranked 7th last year, currently ranked ECR at 6. Devontae was 20th, currently ranked 22. How are you feeling about? I think more than anything, obviously A.J. Brown is a prize pig here, but Devontae, what do you think?
I think the market's got him nailed when I'm looking at other guys around him. So consensus ranked 22, like 21 is Cooper Kupp, 20 is DK Metcalf. Like, yeah, maybe over DK Metcalf. 19 is Jalen Waddle. That's a very similar situation. High scoring offense, and they're the number 2 option. Nico Collins at 18. Michael Pittman at 17. I wouldn't be mad if you took Devonta Smith over Michael Pittman. I might even, but
Yeah,
they're somewhat interchangeable. It's all kind of a similar tier for me. So I think the market's got it right looking behind those guys. So like 23, 24 is Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, and then 25 Malik Neighbors. I feel like that's a bit of a tier break where I would rather have Devonta Smith pretty clearly over all of those guys.
yeah, absolutely. Can't believe Amari Cooper is right there with Devonta. That is unreal to me. Moving on, tight end Dallas Goedert, currently ranked at 11 on the ECR.
Perfect. I think that's great. He's not going to let you down. He's not a main part of this offense, but it is such a high-scoring offense that he's going to get you yards. He's going to get you points. He's out there playing, and he's talented. That's all. And if he's going at number 11, that you could be the last guy in your league taking a tight end and have a totally fine tight end, which is different than most years.
Yeah, absolutely. I see you have a 3 things here, maybe a 9 things. You want to just read that down real quick?
There's a ton of stuff here. Yes, we've been trying to come up with 3 big things about each team. The first thing is that coming up with 3 things about this team that's insightful or useful is incredibly hard.
Mm-hmm.
Thing number 2, Saquon Barkley, his age doesn't scare me. That one is an actual 3 big things. And then the third one is, let's just call out some reasons why this very good offense might get worse. We already covered a lot of them, like Travis Kelce retired. Maybe that hurts the team more than we think. Maybe having a captain-like presence gone. Maybe his skill isn't replaceable. Maybe new coordinators isn't as good of a sign as we think it is. Going into last year, I didn't draft any Eagles because I didn't like that they were on new coordinators, and I was kind of wrong.
Yeah.
I was kind of right because they then fired that coordinator, but for fantasy, it didn't make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think, like you said, all of these things are you trying to talk yourself into something. I think this is a pretty easy team full of
Yeah.
prize pigs. Our prize pigs, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, obviously. I think this is a hard team to find any value on. Who's your blue-collar hog? Devonta Smith? I mean, he's ranked 22.
Yeah. AJ Brown might be my hog. Like I could see him. He's going at 7, 6.
Yeah.
I could see him outperforming the guys ahead of him. Maybe.
Yeah. But like we talked about, I think basically every week where we have a good wide receiver, it's so dense in that top 10. I mean, that top like 6,
30.
5,
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably dense.
Yeah. Let's wrap it
Any
up
other
on the
thoughts?
Eagles. Let's wrap
Any
it
other
up.
thought? Let's wrap it up. You make our dream come true. Let's hit our goal together right now. I know that you've been sitting here watching this, all 0 people, and you think to yourself, I'll throw them a bone and just put the channel on mute.
I'll
Throw
make
us a
their
bone.
day.
Just make our day.
Yeah, put the
Just make their
computer
day.
on mute and just play all our videos on repeat.
Yeah,
Help the
otherwise,
algorithm.
We're going to have to become a Kansas City Chiefs podcast, video cast, whatever the hell we are. And I'd rather die.
People say liking, subscribing, leaving a comment helps the algorithm. You know what else does? Just fucking play our videos on repeat.
Just put it on your phone and just go to sleep. And
not
just
enough
don't even
YouTubers
think about
ask for that.
Yeah.
Put it
Not
on
enough.
on your kids' phones, on your wives' phones. Buy
Please.
another phone.
Buy a burner phone and then just make it your PC, your forklift certified phone. I think would be great. We'll give you a shout out for all 30 views you gave us on the Kansas City
promise
Chiefs.
that. Don't promise that. I don't want to do that.
They're not going to watch another episode.
That's